Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, we're on the test server where there are 4 new champions, including 2 new mythical champions. We're going to check those out here today. Of course, one of these new champs is the new fusion. Let's actually jump over, look at his stats immediately. Ugir the Worm Eater. I was actually really intrigued. A lot of you guys actually seem to like him more than I expected in the comments. So there you go. We can actually see his base stats right now. What do we think of him? Again, imagining he could be like a buffing us up for like a bomb team. He could be buffing us up for a go second team, a go first team. He's got buff strip and stuff as well. He's got stuff going on. He has a HP based damage dealer, damage based on HP on his A1, A2. He's got high base HP. He's got solid base speed. Actually quite good base resist, 20 base accuracy. Certainly a bit of a mix. Yeah, I'll be testing him out. Expect that video tomorrow. So on Thursday, I'll have a video on him at some point. I'm not quite sure. I've got a hospital appointment probably tomorrow. It's sort of 50-50 whether that's actually happening or not. It's a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, we will see. So that's why Ugir is going to be slightly delayed, but still in plenty of time to make your decision around the fusion. But yeah, honestly, happy with his base stats. It's sort of what we expect. Looking cool. Looks really good in game as well. Like just visually, he does look sick. Let's check out then the other new champions coming. So first of all, we have a lizard man mythical Lazarius, which is very cool. He is a support and attack type champion. So here he is in Form 1. Looking pretty sweet, I have to say. Let's check him out in Form 2, where he flips to an attack type champ. Boom. Reminds me actually quite a bit of Romantu. He's sort of like Romantu's... this is like Romantu when he's, 60 years old or something, right? Just like a little less fit. Getting old, getting on, but pretty cool. All right, so there we go. Lazarius, hierophant Lazarius, in fact. Reminds me of the Lazarus. Has sort of a bit of a Lazarus vibe as well, with like the robes and stuff. And his staff is a bit, a bit leprosied. Interesting. Let's check him out. So in this form, base stats, wow, a massive 115 base speed. That's absolutely huge. Good base HP and defense, even a decent chunk of attack and some resistant accuracy. So cool. He has a 25% speed in all battles aura. That's really, really good. His A1, Phantom Cobra, attacks one enemy, puts a shield buff on the most injured ally for 2 turns. Value of the shield is proportional to his attack. Remember, his second form is an attack-based champion, so you have a bit of a tension there. Supports and attack champions are built very differently. Well, if you build them for lots of attack for Form 2, the shield is going to be stronger. There we go. Okay. Nest of Vipers is A2, books to a 3-turn cooldown. Attacks all enemies. Before attacking, places a block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also decreases the duration of all buffs on all enemies by 2 turns. After attacking, places block buffs debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. This is a heck of a move. Again, he gets 20% resist ignore as well if you book it up. But it's sort of funky that he puts block debuffs out on your team before attacking. I can't think of any particularly strong like retaliation type hits in Arena where that's super relevant, but it's just a nice buff anyway. Intriguing. I guess it stops him being frozen from like frostbite set and stuff like that. It's kind of niche though. Decreasing enemy buffs by 2 turns though, that is really nice because that does mean it does avoid polymorph, right? You can decrease the duration of their buffs and not get polymorphed, whereas if you remove buffs, it will proc a polymorph effect. So that's nice. That gives you a way to get past it. 2 turns, that's a standard buff duration. It is possible they could have some that are 3 turns. And this came up with Timid before as well. Some people got very confused about Timid decreasing buffs, thinking it was a stone skin counter. That's a mistake. It's actually a polymorph counter. You still have the same 50-50 chance to decrease the duration of the stone skins. That is still a 50-50. But after decreasing their buffs, putting out block buffs, again, that's actually pretty powerful for Arena. This is actually a really good move for Hydra as well. AoE attack with block debuffs for your team and block buffs on enemies. That's a great move. Really nice. Same affinity as Ugo, which is quite good for all the Hydra rotations. Rift's Gaze is A3, 4 bucks to a 3-turn cooldown. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 20% and decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 20%. Then puts increased attack and strengthen on all allies for 2 turns. Short cooldown, he's very fast, so he could be a very strong turn meter manipulator. With, again, defensive buff and strengthen with increased attack. It's an unusual pairing, very unusual, but effective. I mean, this kit right here, it's a strong Hydra kit. Straight up, this is strong for Hydra. You can't decrease their turn meter, but boosting your own, bringing increased attack and strengthen, both valuable buffs, block debuffs, block buffs, shield on the A1. Pretty nifty stuff. It's intriguing. Not bad for Arena either. Then his passive reality. Wow, okay, big passive. Reality shift. So passive, at the start of this champion's turn, puts Perfect Veil and 50% increased accuracy on him for 2 turns. Also, this champion receives 3% less damage for every 750 attack they have, stacking up to 30%. That's quite cool, actually. Okay, I like that. Perfect Veil will help him stay alive. It means you can build him with high attack. He's going to take less damage, even if he's not built super tanky. That's cool. Increased accuracy, again, is going to enable him to do his buff decrease and block buffs, even if his accuracy is low and you're building him for damage for Form 2. That's a pretty sick passive. That's cool. And I think this happens every single turn as well. So he's basically permanently under Perfect Veil, right? Because the cooldown is only for the active effect. I'm pretty sure he's just permanently under Perfect Veil increase accuracy then every time he takes a turn. That's pretty nifty. Allows him to Mischief tank as well, potentially, in Hydra if you wanted that. Intriguing. Active effect, this has a 3-turn cooldown. At the end of this champion's turn, revive a random ally with half HP and turn meter and put Perfect Veil on them for 2 turns. It's a strong revive. Yeah, that's a pretty nifty revive. It's not too bad. It's a pity it's at the end of his turn. It means you can't like turn meter boost and buff them up or buff them up here. That's a bit of a pity. But yeah, it's sort of a passive revive, active passive revive. That's cool. So definitely an Arbiter supplement or replacement in Arena for sure, right? High base speed, turn meter boosting, increased attack. He has revive, manipulation stuff. That's neat. Let's check out his second form. Interesting stuff. So Form 2, we can see he still has actually high HP. His defense goes down a bit. Attack skyrockets. Speed goes down. Crit damage up. No accuracy, but a chunk more resist. Still the same aura. Still the same ability to flip back. A1, Lambent Trident. Attacks one enemy 2 times. First hit increases this champion's attack by 3%, stacking to 30. Second hit decreases 3% of the target's attack or defense, or destroys 3% of the target's max HP, depending on their type. Stacking up to 30%. This effect does not work against support type champs. Wow, that is unique. That's really interesting. Right. 3% decreased attack on attack champs, 3% decreased defense on defense champ, destroy 3% max HP against HP champs, and do nothing against support. I wonder if this does anything to like Hydra boss or bosses in general. I don't know. Boosting up his attack permanently is going to make him hit hard. Yeah, interesting A1. Destruction Surge is A2, 3-turn cooldown when booked, otherwise 4-turn. Attacks all enemies, will ignore shield and increase defense buffs. Before attacking, removes all debuffs from this champion. Increase this attack's damage by 15% for each debuff removed. If no debuffs are removed from this champion, instead increase this attack's damage by 15% for each ally alive instead. Ooh, does that count himself? I mean, let's assume it doesn't in Arena. That's 45% damage. This is probably going to hit pretty hard. Wow, we'll have to see. You have to imagine this is going to hit pretty hard, right? He's going to likely get a big damage boost or potentially a massive damage boost if he's removing debuffs. Ignore shield to increase defense. It's still going to be affected by like strengthen. That'd be the big one. Ally protection, I guess, as well. Interesting stuff. Flame Vulcan, 5 goes to a 4-turn cooldown. Attack one enemy 2 times. Ignores ally protection, strengthen, and shield, as well as 30% of the target's defense. Right, this is going to smack real hard. Stopped by block damage, of course, but goes past a lot of things. Before attacking, steals 50% of the target's turn meter. This effect cannot be resisted. Don't think that procs polymorph. I think you're safe there. Yeah, big single target nuke, very likely to kill a lot. Like if they're protected by Necret the Great, still very likely to kill them. Okay, then his passive, Overwhelming Power. I like the name. At the start of this champion's turn, puts 50% increased attack and 30% increased crit damage on them for 2 turns. Wow, now that is cool. So self-buffs himself, constantly going to have increased attack crit damage, going to help him hit a lot harder than a 3-turn active effect, 3-turn cooldown active effect. Increase the cooldown of all enemy skills by 2 turns whenever this champion kills an enemy. If he kills 2 or more enemies in a single attack, the effect activates only once, cannot be resisted. Yeah, that's pretty sick. Okay, that is quite cool. So you go in, let's say in live arena, he's fast in his base form. Let's say like you're going before the enemy team, they don't have any buffs. You're like, oh, I can just kill them. I flip over into form 2. He buffs up with increased attack and crit damage. You one-shot their damage dealer, and it locks out the enemy for 2 turns. Basically, it's only 1 turn, right? Because it cools down at the start of their turn. You basically lock them out of their moves for a single turn. Then you come in with the AoE nuke after that, potentially hitting really hard. Yeah, that's interesting. This is an interesting champ. Let me know what you think of Hierophant Lazarius. One thing I love is that they've really built in flexibility with the gearing, right? You can gear him as an attack-based champion, and because of the passive in his support form, I think he's still going to be quite good. The big question is going to be speed. It does look like you're going to want him to be pretty darn fast. He's going to be, I think, very powerful in a lot of areas. He seems like a very strong arena champion. He also seems like potentially very strong Hydra. Very strong in a lot of areas. I'm very intrigued by this champ. He is super cool. That is a cool mythical. Let's check out this Dark Elf mythical then. Aphidus, the Hive Lord. Or Aphidus. I guess it's Aphidus, the Hive Lord, right? Looks cool in his base form. All right, nice. We switch over to form 2. Whoa, okay, that is sick. Oh, he doesn't even fit on the screen, man. That is, okay, that is so freaking cool. Ulton of the Shell. He's like crying in the corner. He's like, I wish I was like that, man. That is badass. I love it. I love it. That looks so good. Yes, yes. You know me, I'm a sucker for monster stuff. His base form sucks in comparison. It's not even bad, like it's fine, but it's just normal and boring. Form 2 is where it's at. Wow. So he's attack in form 1, defense in form 2. Okay. We flip back to his form 1. Again, for an attacker, he still has high HP and okay defense, good speed, high attack and crit damage, bit of resist accuracy. Again, good stats. We have a 35% attack in all battles aura. That's really big. That's huge. Blink Cut attacks one enemy, puts perfect veil on the ally with the highest attack for 1 turn. That's likely to be him, obviously. So he attacks and then he perfect veils himself, helps him keep alive. It's actually pretty decent. Umbral Stingers, 3-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies. Before attacking, puts increased attack on all allies for 2 turns, then increases the duration of all enemy debuffs by 1 turn. You can ignore resistance for doing that. That's cool. So AoE attack, he provides his own increased attack. Cool. It's got no ignore defense. He's not ignoring any buffs. So it seems maybe a little less impressive for arena, but it's still going to be decent, right? Brings his own increased attack, and that's useful for lots of other areas as well. Blister Bug Horde, 3-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies, instantly activates any HP burn debuffs on each enemy. If an enemy is not under HP burn, places HP burn on them for 2 turns. Ooh, 3-turn cooldown burner that can activate. Man, he could be very strong in Hydra, actually. Yeah, you look at that. That's a Hydra champion. Wow, so let's say you're boosting him up with the Shemail. He's in the lead getting boosted by Shemail, or he's being like reset by a White Dryad Nia, something like that. 2 accessible enough Void epics. You're putting out burns, and if he gets back to this, he's activating the burns. Let's say turn 1, he attacks, puts out burns. Turn 2, he gives himself increased attack and increases that burn duration. His A1 is not bad, giving himself perfect veil. He comes back and can start activating the burns, extending them more. That's pretty sick. I do like as well how a lot of these metamorph icons have different backgrounds. Like they're all kind of like, this one's quite poison themed. That's cool. Flesh Steerer. Each time this champion places HP burn, decrease the target's defense by 3%. Stacking up to 30%. Okay. For each HP burn debuff on the enemy team, increases crit damage by 10%, stacking up to 100. Whenever an enemy's HP burn activates, increases attack by 5%, stacking up to 50. Yo, okay, this dude is sick, man. This is great. Wow. He's a brilliant Hydra champion. He could also be pretty good for potentially like anti-stone skin live arena that you probably need another burner. It seems quite niche, but like you could have another burner come out, place burns, and then he activates them, rips off their stone skin. Gives him a lot of buffs. Seems unlikely, probably unlikely to be useful, but it's worth pointing out at least. HP burn's really strong against Stone Skin. Definitely seems like more of a PvE focused champ. Definitely seems like more of a Spider, Hydra type champ. But that's pretty sick. What about Form 2? So defense type champ, typically a very different build. I guess like he's not super. You know, a lot of his utility is coming. No, you would be building him. You would definitely be building him for lots of damage. So, okay, I'm building him for lots of damage. How is he going to function as a defense-based champ? Let's take a look. Crushing Pincers. Attack one enemy. Puts 50% increased accuracy on the ally with the lowest accuracy for 2 turns. Okay, I mean, that's probably not very good, actually, is it? Right? It's probably just a support champ that has 0 use for... It's like, you know, your Sifi is there, or your Duchess is like, hey, why do you give me increased accuracy? That's useless. Maybe it helps the Mischief tank a bit in Hydra, but that seems underwhelming, actually. Putrid Cocoon. 4 turn goes to a 3 turn cooldown when booked. Attacks all enemies. Place a stun debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. Place 2 continuous heal buffs on all allies for 2 turns if no stuns were placed by this skill. Okay. Damage based on defense. So, you know, all of that attack and attack scaling not going to help. AoE stun on a 3 turn, it's okay. AoE with 2 continuous heal buffs on everyone is actually pretty good. That's maybe even better. It is a 100% chance to stun a short cooldown, right? Behold the Beast. I'm still not seeing exactly where this form is useful yet. We'll try to figure that out. Behold the Beast. 5 turn books to a 3 turn cooldown. Well, that's quite dependent on books. Place Provoke on all enemies for 1 turn. Also place Strengthen on this champion for 2 turns. And increase defense on all allies for 2 turns. Okay. Metamorph. Again, the Metamorph looks pretty darn cool. Entomophobia. When attacked, has a 100% chance of placing Weaken and a 35% chance of placing Stun on the attacker for 1 turn. Oh, increase this champion's defense by 1 point for every 2 points of attack when in their alternate form. Interesting. I mean, in Hydra, he's still not bad, right? He does bring in Provoke, potentially sort of Mischief tank a bit with the Strengthen, and he is attacking like a Blood Shield accessory. He's going to be putting out Weakens. Now, the stun wouldn't work in Hydra, but it could be decent in Arena. Might make him vulnerable to Polymorph a bit. He's funky. Provoke, okay. Then he's got AoE. Yeah. He's weird. He's going to get a lot of defense. He's probably going to be a pretty decent defensive nuker, right? I wonder, so this is just not an attack, but he does bring his own increased defense. Then he's going to attack here. This might hit pretty hard. He could be a decent defensive nuker. He's going to have pretty good defense. Not crazy, but actually pretty darn strong. Like, you could probably get him a ring with decent attack percent and decent defense percent, right? You could double up there a bit. So yeah, he might actually hit pretty hard. He's going to have a ton of crit damage built up, probably from his stats from Form 1. Huh. I don't know. He seems wonky, though. Like, in Arena, it's not a super amazing. In Hydra, yeah, you've got a 3 turn Provoke. You've got lots of heals for your team. Not super incredible. That's weird. That's weird. His Form 1 is definitely more exciting to me. Unfortunately, Form 2 looks sick. Form 1 immediately stands out as being like, wow, a bit more oomph, especially for sort of Hydra. But that's pretty cool. Aphidus, the Hive Lord. What do you think about him? And then finally, we have, I think it's just a rare. I saw this and I thought this was weird. Tribuck Colwyn. Definitely looking underwhelming and underwhelming based after coming from 2 mythical champs. Poor old Tribuck. He doesn't compare super favorably. A1, Sylvan Sword, attacks one enemy, puts 25% small increase accuracy buff on this champion for 2 turns. Okay. Take by surprise, 4 goes to a 3 turn cooldown. Attacks one enemy, has a 25 booking to 50% chance of stunning for 1 turn. Mistwood Gale, he's got nice ability names, I guess. Attacks all enemies, 6 goes to a 4 turn cooldown. Before attacking, puts increased defense, the small version, on all allies for 2 turns. Fairly underwhelming. He might be okay for some secret rooms, right? Brings increased defense. He's probably going to do okay damage as a defensive champ. The single target stun's a bit underwhelming. Honestly, this guy's pretty bad. He is spinning his sword like crazy, though. Can we say that, Colwyn? Calm down. Let's see. He was spinning like crazy. He's spinning his sword. He's chilling. Okay, maybe it was in my head. I felt like he was just constantly spinning. I felt like he was going like a Beyblade in my head there. I wasn't quite paying attention. He does spin it quite a lot. He does spin quite a lot, but he's not great. Honestly, this guy looks like a pretty easy food champion. So yeah, there you are. The Fusion Lego looks pretty sick. These 2 mythicals, I mean, there is the potential these mythicals could be tied into the new content. It's possible, but I don't know. What do you think? I think Lazarius is... Wow, this is a tough one. Lazarius, I love the combo between his 2 forms. I feel like this is a very complete, my initial impressions, very complete mythical champion. Great synergy between the forms. Looks super fun to play around. For the Aphidus, visually awesome, but I'm not super convinced. I'm not quite seeing immediately where Form 2 is going to be super useful, though. It does look damn sick. Form 1 on his own is an insanely useful champion. He's super, super strong. Just Form 1 by default. Really good. Form 2, bit more questionable. There you go. That's what I think. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you all soon for showcases of these champions. See y'all then. Goodbye.